Welcome to the ultimate step-by-step tutorial on how you can actually create floor plan drawings in Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, if you're already familiar with PowerPoint, go ahead and skip over to the actual tutorial. But if you haven't really used it before, keep watching through the intro and we'll run through the basics together. Surprisingly, a lot of homeowners will go through a full bathroom renovation without any types of plans or drawings at all. But as bathroom renovators, believe me when I say you need plans if you're going to renovate, because it'll save you a lot of headaches. So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you exactly how you can draft your floor plan and elevation ideas for your bathroom. But knowing how to do this actually goes beyond just bathrooms. And drawing out floor plans is going to help you with things like rearranging furniture, planning out any type of floor plan or renovation ideas, or just any building or DIY project. And the better you get for actually using PowerPoint for those ideas, the better and more detailed your drawings get to. Make sure you also download our free PowerPoint template and cheat sheet, which has got a bunch of pre-made shapes and symbols on there that you can just copy and paste onto your ideas, just so that you don't have to start from scratch. Now, here are just a few examples of what you can actually do with PowerPoint. You could create site plans like this if you're a property investor scoping out a lot to see its development potential. You could draft out building elevations for your build ideas. By the way, this video is not sponsored in any way. This is just a tool that I've personally used over the years. And the more I used it, the more I realized the amount of detail you can actually put into these things. Please also like and subscribe if this video does help you for whatever industry you're in or whatever project you might be working on. Now, originally we actually made this tutorial to be a fully paid online course, but with everything costing a subscription and a fee nowadays, we realized how helpful something like this would be, particularly to our community of first-time bathroom renovators. So this is just our little attempt of helping you guys out and setting you up for success. Now, a really quick disclaimer is that the scale and size of these plans that you end up with is only going to be approximate. So they're still really helpful and valuable for any small renovation. But if you're doing any high-level renovations or new builds where you need to actually submit your drawings for some type of approval, you'll still need to get professional plans drawn up through a builder or a designer. So before anyone comes at me in the comments for saying how silly and amateur these are, yes, they're made in Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm not telling you to cut corners and avoid paying your draftsman fees for your new build. These types of plans just aren't going to cut it. Let's say, for example, you're trying to explain to your builder or even designer how you want a particular room to look. You can create them here in PowerPoint, add a bunch of arrows and notes trying to visualize and explain what it is that you're talking about, convert it to a PDF and send it over to them through email. It really is just the perfect communication tool to support your ideas visually. So here's everything you need to actually create these plans. So the first one is Microsoft PowerPoint, assuming you have access to Microsoft Office Suite. I'll just go up here and show you what version I'm running off. So I'm running off version 16.81. Most of the recent versions should have all the same and similar functions, so it shouldn't be a problem. Then you need something to take measurements of your room or whatever it is that you're going to be drawing. So you'll need either a tape measure or a laser measure. And then just a pen and paper or an iPad, just something where you can note down your measurements. So first we're going to run through some basic features that are in Microsoft PowerPoint. So go ahead and download the PowerPoint plans template and open that up. So you have the first two pages that are blank, that are just your free space that we're going to create some plans in. On the third and fourth page, you'll see that we've created a bunch of pre-made shapes for you, which you can copy and paste and use. If you want to create your own, you don't have to use these, you can go ahead and do that, but this is just something we've made to make your lives a little bit quicker and easier if you want to make some quick and easy plans. This one here is for your elevation plans. So again, we just tried to create as many things as we can that you can just copy and paste. You've got all different types of fittings and fixtures there that you can copy. Then on this page here, I've got some quick instructions for you on how you can actually create custom shapes. So there is a feature where you go insert, shapes, and you can get a lot of pre-made shapes that are here. They're very simple. And when you paste them in, they'll look something like this. But if you want to go a little bit further and customize your plans to represent particular items, you can right-click on the shape and click Edit Points, and you'll see the outline of it actually goes red. And if you start dragging these little boxes here, you can start to manipulate the original shape. And this just gives you a whole different feature of customization. So I'll go ahead and delete that. But if you read through these steps here, it shows you how you can use specifications for particular fittings or items, trace over them with the edit points of the custom shape that I just showed you to group different shapes together to then result in your own customized shapes that you can use in your floor plans. Then you'll see at the very back of the template, we've got some pre-made floor plans and completed elevations for you. These are really good to just be able to pull apart so you can see all the different shapes and how they work together and how we've created these floor plans. Now some quick basic floor plan terminology. First one is your floor plans, which are these ones here. It's just that bird's eye view where if you imagine that you're hanging above in the sky and looking down into the room, that's the visual and perspective that you'll see. The next one is perspective references. So these come in handy. You'll see them noted on the floor plans here in the corners where it says B1 to B4. And these actually reference to your elevations. And the way to read them is if you look at where these arrows are pointing, this one, for example, it says B1. If we pretend that that's a person standing in the room like this, and we imagine what wall they're looking at, that's the wall that that perspective is referring to. So we know that B1 is looking directly at this very back wall here where the vanity is. And if we imagine that we're the person standing there in that room, that's the perspective that we're going to see. So if we go ahead and look at the elevations, B1 here is that exact perspective from the floor plans, but we can see it on an elevation level. It can be a bit confusing at first, but if you get confused and forget which is which, just grab the symbol, move it into the room, and you can clearly see which wall they're pointing to and which perspective that symbol is referring to. The next one is elevations, which we just touched on. So they're the standing in the room perspective of what you would see if you're looking at that wall. So you can see the last 2 pages are just the final elevation of each wall in this bathroom. Now, the next one is scale. If you go to the first page where the grid is and look up the top of the page where it says scale, you'll see that it says 1 unit equals 200 millimeters. So all that means is on this grid that we've got around the back is saying that one of these little boxes here, being 1 unit, equals the measurement scale of 200 millimeters. So that's the way that I've set this up, and I find that this is a good size for bathroom layouts. So keep this in mind. Don't go moving around this grid and resizing it because you'll lose that scale as you draw. Now running through some essential shortcuts and tools in PowerPoint. A really important one is the save button. Try to hit the save button as much as you can. From experience, I learned this the hard way. The next one is the undo button. I know that sounds obvious, but try and utilize it as much as you can rather than just picking up shapes and trying to move them back to where you had them. I like to just have my fingers sitting over Command Z on a Mac or Control Z for Windows, and it just helps you work a lot more efficiently because you'll find you'll spend a lot of time moving things around, clicking on the wrong thing. It's just a lot easier to quickly hit the undo button. The next one, which we've touched on before, is just your shapes. So if you go into Insert, the shapes function, you'll see a whole library of different shapes in there. Now the next one is edit points for editing your shapes, which again, I quickly touched on. So to do that, again, you just right click on any shape, click edit points. You'll see that red border come up, and that allows you to start customizing the edges and manipulating that shape to your liking. The next one that comes in handy is the format painter. So if you look at the top left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a tiny little paintbrush there. This is the quickest way to copy the format of one shape across to another shape that you've just made. So let's say you've customized a particular box to have a certain pattern in the background, it's a certain color, you've changed the borderline thickness to a particular weight. Rather than inserting another shape and having to go through all those custom settings, you can click your original shape, hit that format button, and then click on the new shape, and it will copy across the exact formatted options onto it. Again, just making your work time a lot more efficient. Another obvious one is the copy and paste function. Again, I've normally just got my hand hovering over the Command C and Command V functions on my keyboard, which just makes things a lot more efficient while I'm working. Now, the next thing to be familiar with if you're not already in PowerPoint is the layering structure of shapes. So every time you insert a new text box, any object onto your page, it's going to stack them on top of each other. So you can imagine when you're drawing very detailed drawings, sometimes you might lose a particular shape behind other shapes, and it can get pretty messy pretty quickly. So if you do want to see where your layers are sitting, you can select a shape, right click on it, and select reorder objects. This is just going to show you what order your layers are currently sitting in. You can reorder them from that perspective if you want to, and then save your changes. Another really good way to do this is the selection pane feature. So if you select a shape, look up the top under the home section and click the arrange button, you'll see down the very bottom, there's something called selection pane. This will open up all the layers that you currently have sitting on that page. You can see if you click on anything, it's going to highlight where that shape is so you can identify it and move it around as you need in that layering system. I only use those two if I've really lost something and I need to see where all my layers are sitting. But the easiest way that I like to use to move things around is to right click on a shape, and you'll see there is a bring to front or send to back option. So if you click on this floor, for example, which is right at the back, right click on it and click bring to front, you can see it's going to immediately cover everything because it's sitting at the very top. Now, the next feature to know about is grouping shapes. So if you go and look at all these shapes that we've pre-made for you and you click on them, a lot of them are actually multiple different shapes grouped together as one. So if we click on this toilet, for example, if you move it around, you'll see it's moving as one shape. But if you right click on it, select group, and then go ungroup, you'll see that there is now a combination of different shapes that you can pull apart. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3 different shapes. We move them back together, and then you highlight them all again, right click, and then select group. It's going to group them back together as one item. So go look through those pre-made shapes and you'll actually see how we've made different items and grouped different shapes together to create the image that we want to represent certain things in our floor plan. And this is just where you get that extra level of customization for particular shapes. You can get as creative as you want to create whatever level of detail you're willing to go to. So this grid that you'll be working over is actually an image of its own. So every time you click on it, it might move and it can get in the way and be pretty annoying. So one thing that I like to do is drag it over to the side, either halfway or just to the left-hand side, just so I've got a lot more white space to work on. Because when you click on the normal background, nothing's going to happen. It's just a safer area to be clicking. That way you can create whatever shapes you need to. So if we put this toilet back together, then we can safely highlight it, right click on it, select group, and that's now going to become one item. So for the next step, you want to go and get your actual measurements and dimensions for whatever it is that you're going to draw. Don't worry about it being perfect, pretty, and neat on paper or your iPad, because we're just going to draw them up in PowerPoint later on anyway. So I've got my iPad here. I'm just going to do a random example of an ensuite. I'm going to go ahead and draw the outline of my room. Now in industry, you'll see things marked with a north mark. You can go ahead and note that down if you want to, or just orientate it however you like. Then you want to go ahead and note down all your measurements. So I'm going to get the length and width of this room for this side here and this measurement here. Another dimension to note is the ceiling height. So I'll just make a little note of the ceiling height up here. Then I like to go and add in doors and windows, and then just start laying out everything that is in the room. So you've got shower screen, your vanity, shower head, toilet, details about this cavity sliding door, drains. And I like to get some extra dimensions sometimes. For example, the current width of the vanity, just so I know what actually fits into the current space, the current shower area. I also like to get these measurements here from the wall to the doors or windows, just so I know where to place them in PowerPoint later on. And then in red, I like to mark up just any noted electrical points in the room. So there's a downlight here and an exhaust fan over here. And you can note any electrical points like outlets or light switches as well. So just something like that, nothing too fancy. Don't worry about it being perfect. Now you want to go and repeat the same process for your wall elevations as well. So for this example, I'll look at one wall first in the room, draw the rough shape. I'll draw in the window on this wall here. I'll get the window dimensions, get that measurement length from the wall and from the ceiling or floor as well, just so you know exactly where it sits. And just keep repeating that same process for each of your wall elevations until you're done. And that's pretty much it. So once you have your floor plan and all the necessary measurements and dimensions, along with your wall elevations and the placements of things, you're pretty much ready to head over to PowerPoint, get this up on one side of your computer screen or handy on your desk so that you can start copying those measurements across. Now we're ready to create our existing floor plan. So everything we just measured up of how our room currently looks, we're going to go and create that floor plan first in PowerPoint. So go ahead and open up your template. The first thing you can start with are the details at the very top of the page. So you'll see there's a plan number, which you can change for each page as you go. You can change the room name. So this is an ensuite for this example. So change that to whatever room it is that you're working on. And on this plan, you see it says existing and proposed. So this is going to show our before and after for the ideas that we're plotting. So maybe if you're working across different projects on different properties, you can note the address here or whatever reference or description you want to. Go ahead and add the ceiling height, and you can change and add whatever relevant details you want to note at the top of this plan as well. It's completely up to you to customize. You can pop in the dates or the revision number that you're currently working on for this plan. I would recommend you leave the scale how it is unless you want to go ahead and change that, and then pop your name on there just so that whoever you send these to knows that you actually created them. All right, so now to create our first floor plan. Like I said earlier, go ahead and drag this scale over to the left side of your screen just so it's a little bit easier to work on. Move it over so that you can still use the grid as a scale to lay out your shapes. That way you have a lot more of this free space here without that grid getting in the way and getting a little bit annoying whilst you're working. Now, to get your floor plan shape, you can go ahead and pretty much highlight this whole section here of these arrows and the floor plan box itself and copy and paste that straight into your new floor plan. And just paste them onto the grid so that they're nice and neatly lined up. Now we want to look over at the plans that we just got and get that first measurement so we can note it and start scaling it. So this is the measurement for this top line. Once you've noted it there, you can start counting the units to represent it. So I'm going to go to 3 meters for this one. You can move that there so it's just nice and neat. Also want to note that it is millimeters just to make that clear to whoever's reading it. So now that's our first length of the room. Now we can go get our second measurement down the side. And again, just using the arrows to input that new measurement from the drawings that we just did. So we've got 1590 millimeters, and then we're just counting and scaling those units, though roughly there is a good distance for a measurement like that. Like I said, it's just approximate, but still a very good visual indicator. So there's your layout for your room. Now you can copy and paste this if you want to. I like using this shape here just to represent doors and windows. So I'm just copying and pasting the same shape again, just to try and be efficient. I'm trying to create here just something to imitate a cavity sliding door. So that's my door there. And then that long rectangular shape is meant to be the slider. I'm going to copy and paste it again to use this for my window. Then I'm going to copy this toilet symbol here and paste it into my room. That roughly goes just there. And use the arrows on your keyboard as well, just if things get a bit fiddly so that you can move it into the right place. Now the next thing I'm after is a vanity. So I'm just going to copy this vanity here, paste it into the corner. Now let's say in real life, the vanity doesn't look like this and I want to ungroup these shapes and customize it a little bit. So I'm going to ungroup them, change this vanity to the length that it is. It's one of those narrower vanities, so I'm just trying to replicate it as close as I can. And it's got those basins where they kind of overhang over the edge. So I'm going to place them there just like that. Now I'm going to copy the shower drain and floor waste symbol because that's approximately where the floor waste is. Then I'm going to copy this line here for the shower glass because this is where the current shower glass sits. Let's say on my example, the current glass actually has a swing door. So if I want to display that on my existing plans here, I can copy this door symbol, paste it into the plans, and I can also change the color to be blue just to represent that it's a glass swinging door that goes inwards. I'll grab a shower head and paste that in there. And I'll grab these electrical symbols down here just to represent the current downlight, the one downlight that's currently in there. Then I'm just going to copy and paste that same thing, make it a little bit bigger to represent the current exhaust fan that's in there. I'll readjust these and just move them over here. And then I like to just label a couple of things if they're not already obvious. Like for example, if I've maybe done a bad job of making this look like a cavity slider door, I'll just copy this text box from the measurement at the top and just write out cavity slider door, just so that it's clear to whoever's reading it. I'll copy that as well and do the same for the window, same for the exhaust fan and the light as well. So what we have here is pretty much how the existing floor plan looks. Keep adding as much detail as you need until it's done. And then once you're done, move your grid back over just so that we can line things up really nicely. And then grab that white space in the corner just so you don't pick up the grid, and then you just want to click and drag so we can highlight what we've just made, and we're going to copy it and paste it right next to it, and this is going to be our new floor plan. So paste it there nice and neatly just next to it under the proposed heading. And then once we've lined everything up, I like to just start fresh, delete all the current items. I'll leave the toilet there. Let's say in this example, the toilet's going to stay in the same location. And now I'm going to grab a brand new vanity and just start working things into my new floor plan. So I'll paste the vanity just here. I'm going to ungroup it and change the bowls, because let's just say for this example, I want some really nice circular above counter bowls. So I'm going to ungroup it, change the shape of those to be a complete round circle. And rather than changing that other shape, I'm just going to delete it and copy and paste what I just made. So that's just what I like to do in terms of efficiency rather than fiddling around with things for too long. I'm going to copy that shower glass again from what we've got over on the left-hand side. Let's say I want a new shower glass panel to be a particular length. I'm going to paste it over here using the grid, and I'm going to count to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 1 meter, because I want a 1 meter glass panel, and I'm going to pop it over here, and that is roughly where I want to put my shower panel. Now, if I'm struggling where to put that glass panel, I'm just going to quickly randomly copy this shape from the vanity to use as a measuring tool. So I'm not actually going to use this as an object, but I'm just going to count that same width of the shower area. I want to make sure it's about 900 millimeters. And I'm going to use it as a measuring tool. But let's say, for example, if I wanted to make it a meter, I can count out 1 meter, and then I can use that shape because I've scaled it to the grid and place it to help guide me on just a new area measurement for that shower area. So utilize the shapes around you as quick measuring tools if you need to. Then I'm going to copy that shower head again. And let's say for this new layout, we're going to put it on this back wall. I'll add in the little pop waste drains into the above counter bowls. Now let's say I want to grab this little side handle here. Let's say we want some nice towel handles on the sides of our vanities. I can paste it just there. I'm going to copy and paste it to put on the other side as well. Then I'm going to copy the light shape that's in red as well. And let's say I want to put in another downlight. Same as the exhaust fan, maybe I want to change the shape to represent a particular product. Then when you're done, head over and grab this arrow and this write instruction here text box. And this is where you just want to start marking up your notes for instructions, just so that whoever's reading it knows what changes are being made to the new floor plan. So for example, let's point to this new shower screen panel. We're going to tell people how big it is, that it's a shower glass panel. We can put another note over here explaining that this is the size of the vanity, and maybe that it's wall hung or freestanding. And again, just copying and pasting the same text boxes and same arrows just to save time. We might put one here to say that we're installing a new toilet. So it's same toilet location, but maybe you want to make it clear that it is a new toilet that's going in. Maybe we want to note to our plumber that this is where a new shower head location is going. You get the idea. You can just keep adding as many notes as you need to that you feel are really important for whoever's reading your plan. Now your floor plans are done. The next step is to create your wall elevations. So I normally just create the wall elevations for the new proposed floor plans that I'm trying to create in the space. If you want to, you can go and create elevations for how your existing layout looks. But if you don't need to, then you don't have to. So let's go ahead and create our elevations for our new floor plan that we just made. Let's start working on page 2. Even though it says existing and proposed, we can change those headings and we can go for our B1 wall elevation. So move that heading over. Now, exact same step as the floor plans, except we're just creating the wall. So head over to slide 3 of those floor plan shapes, copy and paste it onto your page. Then I'm just going to quickly move over this grid so it's not in my way when I'm clicking. I just try to get in the habit of clicking over the side here so that I don't keep hitting that grid. Now, another quick hack. So I'm just going to go to the floor plans, copy the measurement and the arrow and paste it onto my elevation, line it up on the grid, then line my wall shape up. Then I can just drag it out and I know that that's going to be the width of my wall. Then I'm just going to copy and paste that same arrow and we're going to measure out the height So we've already noted our ceiling height at the top here was 2.4 meters. So we're going to count out those blocks 2.4 meters high. I can stretch out that shape. And now we have the dimensions for our first wall elevation. Again, if you want to be super efficient, go and highlight the wall you just created, even the heading, copy, paste it over. Again, I like to just line up my grid so it's nice and neat. Move the grid back over. Rename this elevation here to B2. Check on my floor plan which elevation is B2. So this wall here is pointing to B2 where the window is. And I know that the measurement of the width of that wall is going to be this measurement here. So again, I'm going to copy the arrow, copy the measurement just because I'm lazy, paste it here, then click the second. Now I can rotate these two to be horizontal, line it up on my grid, click on the white space. There you go. Now I can drag my shape to match that exact length just there. And there is the second elevation dimensions of our second wall in our room from our floor plan. So to avoid any clutter, I like to keep 2 wall elevations per 1 page. So I would just copy this page, paste it so that then you've got all 4 walls. So I'll go ahead, right click the page, copy, click just underneath it, paste. Then on your second lot that you just pasted, go ahead and rename those references, B3 and B4. And if you have a nice rectangular or square shaped room, we don't have to change any of those dimensions because they'll be the exact same because they'll be the opposite walls. So it's nice and handy. Same as your floor plans, now that you have your elevation dimensions, you can start browsing through our pre-made plans here and start inputting all your fixtures and fittings. So let's say we want to input a nice vanity on our first wall elevation. Maybe we'll grab some nice mirrors. For the second mirror, I'm just going to copy and paste it so it's nice and easy. We can grab a basin bowl and let's get a tap mixer as well. So I've selected those two just onto the page. Going to paste 1 bowl just there. Then I'm going to copy it, paste it, move it over here. Grab this little mixer here. Let's say I want it to sit on the side here. Now in terms of layers, this is a really good example. See how it's sitting in the front? That's not how we want it to look. The mixer's not going to sit in front of the bowl. So if I click on the tap, it's only going to give me the options to bring to front or bring to back, or I can spend a lot of time filtering through all those layers and the section panes that we went through. Or instead of clicking on the tap, go to the item that you want to bring to the very front first. That's going to be the easiest. So click on the bowl in this instance, right click and go bring to front. And that's going to snap it to the very front, right in front of the tap that we weren't liking. And now the tap is sitting behind the bowl, which is what we want. So now I'm going to copy this tap, mirror it, again, sit it over this side and bring our other bowl to the front layer as well. Now we've got 2 nice taps starting to look a bit more like a bathroom elevation. Next, let's go and put in our shower glass panel. So from this perspective, we're only going to see the edge of the panel. So you could just put a line. I've just copied this shape for the sake of it here. Now, if you did want to get really savvy in terms of matching up your exact layouts with your floor plan, what you can do is head over to the floor plan that we created. Because our dimensions are going to be the same, you can copy the floor, the vanity, and the shower glass, holding Shift and selecting those 3 items, pressing copy, pasting them and sitting them just below your elevation. So the reason we're doing that is because we're checking from a bird's eye view, because I've just copied from our floor plan, we're seeing the placement. If you want to match the exact placement, we can now line these up pretty accurately. And now I can just line them up with everything. And by doing that, you're just lining everything up in alignment with your floor plan, which is nice and neat. So once we don't need it anymore, we can go ahead and delete those shapes because we've just used it as a measuring tool. Then from this perspective, we're going to want to see our large shower rail. So go ahead and paste that in, move that over there into the shower. And there you go. It's starting to look a lot more like the bathroom elevation for that wall. Now again, once you're done with the elevation, go ahead and copy the arrow in the instruction text box that's in that nice bright blue color, and just start mapping out your important notes again. So any instructions for your plumber, electrician, anybody that you're working with, whatever instructions you need to note to them, you can note them across your plans. Then once you've marked up all your notes, repeat that exact same process. You're basically fitting out all the items in your new bathroom of how you want it to look. And by going through this whole process and drawing it out to a rough scale, you're actually making sure that everything fits into your bathroom as well. So if you're looking at a vanity online that's a particular length, you can go and scale it up in your floor plan and actually check that it's going to fit into the space. I would recommend finishing your floor plan first. The proposed floor plan is what you really want to be playing around with in terms of checking dimensions, sizes, does the vanity fit, does the bath fit, how far is the toilet from the wall, all those sorts of things. So finalize your floor plan first, just so that you save yourself from too much work and moving things around on your elevations. Do your elevations last, just because it is a lot more detail. And if you do move one thing, you kind of have to move it 4 different times on the 4 different wall elevations. So just keep that in mind. And once you're done, it should look something like those final examples at the very end of the template. And once you're happy with all the marked up notes, that's pretty much it. You've gone and created professional floor plans and professional wall elevations in PowerPoint. Another final reminder to keep hitting that save button whilst you're working so that you don't lose all your hard work, and try not to get too carried away with all your notes. You don't want to overkill the space so that when someone reads it, it's really jarring and hard to read. Keep it simple. You don't need to be putting measurements for absolutely everything. Keep in mind that most products and items will have their own specification sheet from the actual supplier that your trade contractors can go and refer to as well. You'll see on the example plans in yellow, I also note on which walls what tiles I want to use. So I'll reference the name of the tile, the size of the tile, and they'll also be on the floor plans as well. If you have a particular way you want the tile to be laid, that's also a really good place to put your notes so you can make it clear to your tiler. So all that level of detail and notes is completely up to you to how far you want to go. Another tip is to save your file as a different revision each time you make a large amount of changes. So let's say you've done your first idea for a bathroom floor plan, you've sent it to a contractor, they've told you you can't do this, this, and that, it needs to be this way. Then copy the original file, paste it as a new file, rename it to the current date, and maybe call it something like revision number 2. Then go and make your changes. Because what can sometimes happen is you make so many revision changes and then potentially end up with the first layout that you drew the very first time, and it took you all that time to create it. If you didn't save the revision, you'll have to recreate it all over again. So saving revisions can just really save you a lot of time. And there you have it. That's pretty much it. Now you've seen how to create floor plans and wall elevations all in Microsoft PowerPoint. Don't forget to grab those templates. I'll leave the link in the description for you. Now, if you do go ahead and create something after watching this video, please send it through or tag us in it so that we can see what you guys actually end up making. I know there'll be a bunch of you out there that are quite advanced at using Microsoft Office Suite, so I wouldn't be surprised if you went on and made some crazy things. Now, if you're thinking about renovating your bathroom this year, be sure to follow us and go and join our brand new Facebook group, the Bathroom Club. You can create your ideas in here and post them into the group along with any design ideas or questions that you have, and get feedback from the other community members. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you found this really helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll catch you in the next video.